What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into Philly Take with RB. RB here, and we're joined by a very special guest today. Shout out to my guy, Luca Rosano, coming on here to talk and chop up some Sixers-Raptors, Kyle Lowry trade deadline talk. We're going to get into it, man. Shout out to my guy. If you guys have not yet, be sure to subscribe to him on YouTube. Luca Rosano does play-by-plays, does podcast episodes, does all the content that you need, and he's the best Raptors content creator out there, guys. So if you want the scoop on one of our rivals, he's the right man to go to. Luca, thanks for joining me today, man. Appreciate it.
Bro, I appreciate it, man. You're killing the game, and this has been a long time coming to collab. And before we begin here, I just want to shout out you. You've been, doing your thing. You've been growing like crazy, man. It's great to see. And shout out to the Sixers fans in here. I know, there's that narrative that there's animosity between Raptors fans and Sixers fans, but you know what? It's good to do this type of stuff and talk real. So I just want to shout out you, your fan base, and your work, bro. It's been really impressive.
Hey, much love to you, man. Really big fan of you. And shout out to all 65 up in the chat already, guys. 2:30 on a weekday. We didn't expect many people here. There will be people who come and catch it on a second time around because we're not going to be on here for a long time. So if you have not yet, again, hit that like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell and check out Luca Rosano on YouTube. Shout out to a couple of the channel members up in here. We got Philly Fans and SD. We got Seth. Says, I'm on the roof of a skyscraper in Philly, and I'm going to be watching RB at the same time. Hashtag Union Construction Strong. That's the real support, man. I appreciate it. And then we got, let's see, we got my guy David up in here. What's going on, David? Shout out to everybody in the chat, guys. Again, we're going to be talking this Kyle Lowry trade deadline stuff just 2 days away. We're going to be covering it all week. I want to get my guy Lucas' perspective, though, because last night, I popped into your stream a little bit at the end. You guys were down bad, man. The Houston Rockets had lost 20 in a row, and they beat the Raptors last night. I'm just gonna let you take the floor and just tell us how are the Raptors fans feeling right now? Like, what is the notion today as a Toronto Raptors fan and content creator?
I just posted a meme on my Twitter that basically represents myself and all fans at the moment. I mean, it has been crazy, bro. I feel like I'm in a trapped fire. Like, this thing has fallen apart in the last couple of weeks. It looked like the Raptors were ready to turn the tide. And then, health and safety protocols hit us. And it seems like, from that point on, things just keep getting worse. We've lost 9 in a row. We lost to the Rockets, who had lost 20 games in a row. We didn't just lose to the Rockets. We got blown out by the Rockets. Pascal Ciacom just got fined $50K for, talking some trash to Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse got fined for throwing his mask in one of these games. You got Kyle Lowry's future, in doubt. You got Norman Powell as well. He's been in a bunch of trade rumors. It has been crazy, man. And I'm going to have a video on this probably later today. But I think the Raptors should just embrace what's going on. Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to make a desperation move to buy. Be a seller at the deadline. Look to next season. Get a lottery pick. I know this isn't a popular thing to say, but tank and just kind of come back stronger next season. Because I look at it right now, man. Yeah, I think we're like 2.5 games back of a playoff spot with the play-in. But even if this team does get in, I really don't like their chances in a first-round playoff matchup against the Sixers, Bucks, or Nets. And, it's better to sometimes take, a step backwards versus than, trying to save something that's just not there to begin with.
I got first and foremost, I got to say I respect the hell out of you for coming right out of the gate with that. Like, no BS. Like, we might have a chance. No, you're just like, I'm fine with tanking. Like, no pun intended, but trust the process a little bit. Like, all right, let's look for the future. Like, it's just not it. And I respect that you're able to come out and say that. But would you say that's kind of the notion now of Raptors fans overall too? Like, are you guys just like, it's time to just throw in the towel? Like, it's not happening this year. Like, is that from your perspective as an objective person, or is this just like everyone now in Toronto, just like, all right, it's time? Like,
yeah, that's a really good question. I think the narrative all season was you had two sides to it. A lot of the fans are saying this is not our season. It's a deep draft. Just try to get a lottery pick, come back stronger next season. And then the other half of the fan base was like, this team is good. They've just been hampered with injuries. They haven't been at full strength, health and safety protocols. Wait until they come back. But I think the definitive factor were these last 2 games, RB. On Sunday, losing to the Cavaliers, a team that was below the Raptors in the standings. And then Monday was the icing on the cake. You lose to the Rockets. You get blown out by the Rockets, who, were becoming the laughing stock of the league. Silas was nearly crying in his post-game presser for how bad things were getting. And the Rockets looked good against the Raptors. Like, John Wall looked like he was in his prime. Christian Wood was doing his thing. Tate was doing his thing. I hadn't even heard of Tate, with all due respect to him, before that game. And the Rockets actually looked really good against the Raptors. So I think yesterday's loss solidified it to, I would say, like 90% of the fan base, just from like what I've seen on Twitter and just conversations I've had of fans starting to set in on reality that, just swallow your pride for the rest of the season, come back better next year, and, hopefully better days are coming.
Yeah, I definitely respect it. And, you guys won a championship, and this happens. This happens with your teams a couple years after, at some point it's like, all right, it's time to retool. And why not a season like this for you guys? That's been wacky in itself. But first and foremost, obviously we got to get down to the Kyle Lowry thing. Let me just get your first perspective. Shout out to everybody in the chat, guys. 117 in here. Hit that like and sub. Be sure to check Luca Rosano on YouTube, and you're on TikTok as well too, right?
That's
Twitter,
correct.
Instagram. All right, yeah. Check him out on every platform. Does great content, guys. So before I get to all these reports on Kyle Lowry, what is your thoughts overall on Kyle Lowry? Like, is this the time? Like, are you on the side more of like, I want to keep him around for his whole career, or is it more like, it's time to let him go contend for another championship? Like, he did his service, did his due. It's that time. Like, what is your kind of perspective on that?
Hey, I have a really realistic standpoint when it comes to Lowry. I would agree with the second thing that you said. I think, his time has come. He's done everything he needed to do here. He won the championship. He's accomplished all he had to do. I think it's time to move on. And I know he does want to retire a Raptor. That can still happen. He comes back on a one-day contract. I would definitely be welcoming of that. But in terms of, where he fits with this team moving forward, it's time to embrace the present and the future. Kyle Lowry, he's an aging point guard, and right now I think he would be best suited for a team that's right there in terms of winning a championship. On a team like the Raptors that I wouldn't say is about to rebuild, but retool is the better way of putting it. Kyle Lowry is, this is not a situation that he wants to be in. I think, you pay him respect, you give him an opportunity to go win maybe another one before his time is done. And that's where the reports have come out that, Shams on Monday said that the Sixers and the Heat are the leaders in the trade race to land Kyle Lowry. I think the variable that makes this very tough is the money and what Kyle Lowry's making. He does have a contract that is very tough to move. But I think even if a trade doesn't happen at the deadline, I think Kyle Lowry will go to a team in the offseason, another team that is. And I would have, the Sixers and the Heat, like Sham says, as the leaders. I would personally want to see Kyle Lowry get traded at the deadline. And this is just me being an unbiased fan, because like if you could get assets and picks in return, why wouldn't you? But again, because that number and that contract is a little bit too big, it might be, hard to move. There is a good percentage that Kyle Lowry, nothing happens. He doesn't get dealt. And that's why like a lot of the recent reports, especially on the Raptor side of things, have said that it's looking more and more likely that Kyle Lowry will stay with the team. And another like a name that's more likely to get traded on the Raptors is Norman Powell versus Kyle Lowry. But at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen. I would put at like 60-40%, 60% that he stays, 40% that he gets traded. But I think the Raptors should definitely put Kyle Lowry in the best position to win with where he's at in his career.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. And it's definitely interesting because I feel like in a way, both teams have leverage here, because the Sixers need to go out, for example, and get another piece, or at least that's what we think, like, to make that championship run. And on the Raptors side, it's almost like, I've been telling my fans for a week, and I was telling you this before, a couple weeks ago, I said, all right, the Raptors are on a hot streak. Whatever happens over the next couple weeks will really determine, like, are the Raptors going to let Kyle Lowry go, or are they going to make this push? And I never expected you guys to go on a losing spurt like you are now, but it's kind of coming to that realization, like you said, like, all right, it's time to retool. So when it comes to Kyle Lowry, it's almost like both teams in a way have leverage, but you said 60-40. I think that's a pretty good percentage to get this done, and the whole contracts make it a little bit harder. But just speak real quick, like, if just say this trade was to go down, we know Kyle Lowry's from Philly. He's tough. Yeah. He's got that dog mentality. But just speak like to, in terms of winning a championship, being a locker room presence, like say this were to go down, what are we getting in a guy like Kyle Lowry? Like, just speak on him for a little bit.
You're getting the ultimate piece, I think, for the Philadelphia 76ers right now. I mean, if Kyle Lowry's added to what Philly's got going on, Embiid comes back healthy and this team continues to progress as they've been doing all season long. By the way, like the Sixers have been, an incredible story. Like this, I thought they were going to do this last year. Like I had them finishing first last year, so I was off a year. But Kyle Lowry, I think, would be the ultimate piece for the Sixers. I mean, a veteran playmaker, that guard that can, gel nicely with Embiid. I think he would elevate Simmons' game. He will make everybody around him better. The Sixers, they need that point guard. And I think if Kyle Lowry goes there, that team would be neck and neck with the Brooklyn Nets. Like, I think we're on our way to an inevitable, Eastern Conference Finals at that point between the Nets and the 76ers. And if I am Philadelphia, I'm doing whatever it takes at this point to get on the phone, calling Masai and trying to get a deal done, because I thought that, Philadelphia should have probably went harder in terms of trying to get James Harden. That obviously didn't happen. But now you look at what the Nets have done. They're in win now mode. They continue to stack the deck. They get Harden. They get Blake Griffin. Drummond's name still up in the air, although I saw a report today that if he is bought out, the Lakers are emerging to be the front runners. Philadelphia needs to make a move. Philadelphia needs to make a move at the deadline. I'm sure fans would agree. You guys are right there. The brass ring is in reach. And I think Kyle Lowry would be that guy that could potentially put Philadelphia over the top. And I mean, he does have that great leadership, that great locker room presence that you alluded to. And he's got the postseason pedigree. I mean, here's a guy in Kyle Lowry that when the Raptors were struggling in the playoffs, RB, everybody was considering the Raptors chokers and not being able to get out of the second round. He, to me, stood out more so than a DeMar DeRozan of being a postseason performer, being a guy that can come back from a bad game. He had that dud in game 1 against the Magic from the championship season that the Raptors had of scoring 0 points and having just a terrible, terrible game. But he came back, the next game and in the next couple of series with just that determination and that great energy, that great effort. Like, he doesn't give up. He doesn't get down on himself. And it's the little things that he does that really separates him from your average player and your average guard, taking charges, getting after loose balls, making the right play. Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about Kyle Lowry. And maybe it's because, I've watched him over the years. And, it's funny, like, at first, a lot of Raptors fans didn't even like him. But I have always been a Kyle Lowry guy. I have always been a Kyle Lowry fan. I've praised him even through the rough patches. And, he would just be the ultimate chess move and piece for the Sixers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think at the point we're at, I think the Sixers are going to try to fill out their bench. But I think the one piece that would be able to come in as a starter and fit with everybody is Kyle Lowry. And I think if you're able to get it done on both sides, it would be a great deal. I remember a point in time where, like you said, Kyle Lowry used to get made fun of, never showed up in the postseason. But that championship run, I'll be honest, he really stepped up, balled out. He's a guy I've always hated, but it's more so like if he was on my team, I'd love him. I would have to learn to love him because he's just a pest. He's everywhere. And the great point that you made that I talked about last night was, we need another guard next to Ben Simmons. Like, we've all been saying that. He's a facilitator, could play the two-man game. He's tough, and he's a locker room presence. And I think it would definitely work out well. Shout out to Birds Nation 302 coming with a $5 donation. Thank you for the support. Much love to everybody in here. We got 185 in the chat, guys. Hit the like and sub for your guys up here. Be sure to check out Luca Rosano on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Does great Raptors content. So now that we got kind of an idea on Lowry, and let us know in the chat, what are you thinking about as a potential trade package for Kyle Lowry? This is the most interesting part. I want to hear from Luca. Say the deal is about to get done. Daryl Morey's on the phone. All right, Masai, we're going to give you this, this, and this. You're the Raptors GM. What are you looking for in a trade specifically? Is it draft compensation? Is it young talent, expiring contracts, just getting Lowry's contract off the book? What is it exactly that's going to make this deal get done?
Yeah, I think a little bit of everything. Like, draft compensation most definitely. And I think the biggest piece that I would want is Tyrese Maxey. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I know Philadelphia's high on him. I'm personally high on him. I don't know if Philadelphia would be willing to move him, but I think Tyrese Maxey would have to, be in that deal. I'd rather him over a guy like, Thibault. And then, you probably have to ship back, Danny Green to us, or I don't know if Philadelphia would part ways with both Seth Curry and Maxey. I mean, that would be like the picture perfect deal for the Raptors and draft compensation. But I mean, if you could at least get Maxey, I think that would be enticing enough, at least from my perspective, for the Raptors to pull the trigger. But if Maxey's not included, yeah, like I think it'd be tough to get done because like who could you really include? You would have to include like a bunch of filler pieces to match the salary, and I think the Raptors would want more than just draft compensation. I think the thing that they're going to be looking to get if they move a Lowry or Powell on Thursday is, getting a young piece that could still take time, obviously, to develop, but that's going to be a big thing, I think, from Masai.
Yeah, definitely. And before I kind of give my input on that, there was a report today from Austin Krell, NBA reporter, I guess. He says the asking price for Lowry per source was 2 first-rounders, a second, and 2 players. That's kind of overboard for me. I don't know if 2 firsts is going to get it done.
That is a lot, yeah.
I'm willing to part with a first, maybe a future unprotected first or a second. But I think you're right on the young player. Like a guy like Maxi's going to have to be in the deal. To be completely honest, us Philly fans here, we love Danny Green one night and then we hate him the next. He's like
Raptors fans.
And then he's the best. But right now, I feel like he really understands Doc's system. He's shooting better. He's playing. He's been racking up steals. He's been all over, to be honest, in a sneaky way. I don't know if the Sixers fans right now are going to want to get rid of him because he kind of understands his role and he just helps fit the system. But you're right. If this was a one-on-one deal, I think he would have to be in it because, $50 million contract 1 year. But honestly, the way I'm actually viewing this is more of maybe a 3-team trade. Like you might have to incorporate someone else to get this done. I don't know. But in terms of Tyrese Maxey, at this point, like Doc likes to develop guys over years, so it's going to take him some time. I think Daryl Morey would be willing to give him up. I really do. The guy I don't want to give up is Matisse Thybulle. I think his defense is invaluable. It's going to come in clutch in a playoff series, and the kid's just young and developing. If it was Tyrese Maxey, a first and a second, maybe a couple expiring contracts, I think that would be able to get it done. But what do you think about the 2 first rounders? Do you think that's even feasible to get a trade done? I don't think they have that much leverage.
Yeah, definitely 1 first rounder, but 2 does seem like a little bit of a stretch. That would be like, Masai possibly finessing the Sixers. But hey, Masai has finessed teams in the past, man. Like, you look at a couple of deals that he's done. I would be surprised if 2 firsts were included, for Kyle Lowry. But it's going to be crazy, man. Like, I'm so looking forward to Thursday. It feels like we've been talking about these rumors for so long, and we're finally going to get some answers on Thursday. I would laugh if nothing happens after all the speculation. But I would not, I know, we're talking about Raptors Philly right now, but I would not sleep on Miami. Like their name keeps popping up too. And I think they'd be willing to part ways with Duncan Robinson over obviously Tyler Hero to try to get Kyle Lowry. And apparently Lowry said that, he wouldn't mind going to Miami as well. So I think whatever happens, Kyle Lowry will be a Sixer or a Heat player, either at the deadline or at the end of the season.
What exactly would you guys be looking for the Heat? Like, is there anything that you've thought about or not quite yet? Like any ideas from the Heat that you'd be? I was hearing Hero, Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, like anything in specific or not yet?
Not specific, but I don't think the Heat are giving up Precious Achiuwa. Like they're very high on him. He's a really good young player. Right. And then I also don't see them giving up Hero. Like apparently Miami wasn't willing to give up Hero in the James Harden deal. I think you would see something like a first Duncan Robinson, and then Olynyk. That's a name, fellow Canadian. He's from here, so that'd be a hometown thing. But that's basically it. But here's the interesting part too. You look at like Kyle Lowry, and he's obviously going to be a free agent at the end of the season. If you're Philadelphia or Miami, do you just wait it out? If you have a strong feeling that he is going to sign with either team, like, would you really want to give up assets to trade him now when it's looking like there's a good percentage that he's going to end up in one of those 2 cities regardless?
I think that's an interesting point, and I think the buyout market is going to be more active than it's been in previous years, given the whole pandemic and the situation. Like, we might not even see any splashes at the deadline, but I'm expecting personally Daryl Morey to get a couple bench pieces, a couple guys like that, and I think if the opportunity is there at the right price, Daryl Morey's all year he said, we got the right chess pieces, but we're going to use them at the right time. And if it's not there, then we're not going to do it. So I put my faith up in Daryl Morey, but I know he's a home run swinger. I know he's not going to be afraid to say, all right, time to win. We got this chance here. But it's definitely a good conversation. And shout out to Aaron with a $5 donation. Thank you so much. He says, Tyrese Maxey, B-Ball Paul. B-Ball Paul is Paul Reed, by the way. He just won the G League MVP.
Oh
Danny
yeah, I saw
Green,
that.
Danny Green, a first and a second. Who says no? What do you think of that trade package?
Ooh, what is this? Tyrese Maxey, BL Paul, Danny Green, a first and a second. Who says no?
I think that would get it done. I
That looks
just don't
pretty good
know.
to me.
Yeah, I think that would get it done. I just don't know if we honestly want to part with Danny Green, as crazy as it sounds. And how crazy would that be for Danny to go back to Toronto? That'd be
Yeah.
absolutely
And
absurd.
you know what? It wouldn't make sense for you guys to part ways with
Yeah,
Danny Green. You're in win now mode. He's that that
right.
ultimate player you want in the postseason. I know he has his ups and downs, but you need a guy like Green in the playoffs. He's a postseason
Exactly.
guy. He could come away with a couple of clutch threes. So it wouldn't make sense for a team that's in win now mode.
Yeah, I really think that it's going to be more about you guys getting the contract off the books if you don't deem to be winners, and more about draft compensation. I think that's what it comes down to. A young player will be nice, but like you said, I'm expecting the Raptors to go hard in the draft, maybe trade up, something like that. But it's definitely an interesting conversation. The other guy that you mentioned was Norman Powell. I want to get your thoughts on that. Because I could even see Daryl Morey trying to target a guy like Norman Powell. Would probably cost less. I think he has another year left on his deal after this, so I think he would be feasible as a guy to bring in. What would you get in a guy like Norman Powell if we were able to acquire someone like that?
Well, he's having his best season as a pro, and it's in large part to the Raptors having a lot of guys out and Powell being given more minutes. He's made the most out of his minutes. I mean, this was a guy where he wasn't used properly. The Raptors tried to make him that sixth man, that first option from off the bench, but it wasn't working. And then in the games that he started, he absolutely exploded. He was like a 20-plus point per game getter. Like he could score, 20 plus like it was nothing. And he has been, in all honesty, the Raptors MVP from an overall body of work. Just from, guys being out, guys being inconsistent. He has been the one staple. And I know a lot of fans here in Toronto love Norman Powell. And I know myself personally, I've been trying to trade Norman Powell for all these years because I've never really been keen on the guy.
Right.
And this is the year where the Raptors should absolutely try to trade him because he's playing at an all-time high level, sell high, get assets in return. And he is going to be a free agent at the end of the season. And he is going to command a lot of money with how well he's playing. And the Raptors are not going to be able to afford him. And it's not going to make sense for the Raptors to pay him the type of money that he's going to be looking for because of the fact that the Raptors have all that money tied into Ciacom, OG, Van Vliet. I would not want the Raptors to give up that remaining money to Powell when you got other glaring needs on this team. A center, some bench depth, a shot creator, a go-to guy. So that is why I think it is inevitable. And Michael Grange of Sportsnet here in Canada said it is inevitable, in his opinion, that the Raptors do trade Norman Powell at the deadline. Haven't really looked at a lot of suitors. I did see that Philadelphia's name came up. That could be a potential plan B, for Philly. If they don't land their home run of getting Kyle Lowry, they get Norman Powell. I don't know what that would look like, but, maybe, it would cost a little less. And that's a guy that would just give you guys that depth that you were talking about earlier from off the bench and really provide, some more scoring offense and a punch.
Yeah, and I think that's our most important priority is just filling out the bench and making sure we have the depth to compete with a team like the Nets. But yeah, guys, shout out to everybody in the chat. We got 250 up in here, guys. Hit that like and subscribe for your guys. If you have not yet, check out Luca Rosano on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to him. Does great Raptors content. We'll take some questions from the chat, but one more thing I want to ask Luca. If this was able to go down again, like hypothetically, Kyle Lowry to the Sixers, however it gets done, I don't know. You could say Danny's included. He's not. Say the Sixers get Kyle Lowry. And even before then, like, how do you view the Sixers? I want to know from an opponent's perspective, like, do you think this Sixers team has the chance to make a run in the playoffs, to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, to go to the finals? Like, let's get your take on that. I'm definitely interested to hear.
Yeah, definitely Eastern Conference Finals. In terms of you guys getting out of the East, I still got to go with my original pick of winning the whole thing, the Nets. I've been riding the Nets even before they got James Harden, Blake Griffin, and all that. So I'm still going to stick with the Nets. But that being said, I think Philadelphia's got a great shot. And I do see them going to the Eastern Conference Finals. And if Joel Embiid can come back and, play that MVP level of basketball that he was playing, Ben Simmons does his thing and, you guys go get some bench depth, Philadelphia will be in the running. And that is going to be a fantastic series. I think you guys match up well against the Nets. And then, even if you do somehow get Kyle Lowry, that is going to be, it could go either way. That's going to be like a 6-game, 7-game series. And pick your winner. Whatever happens, happens. But I'm very high on the Sixers team. Like I said, I thought this was going to come from the Sixers last year, which is why I had the Sixers and Clippers as my NBA Finals prediction. And a lot of Raptors fans were looking at me like, the Sixers? What do you mean the Sixers? You have them going to the finals, really? So, like I said, I should have said that this year because it was 1 year later. But, the Philadelphia, they were always right there, always having good teams. We obviously go back that epic playoff series. I'm sure, the Sixers fans don't want me to bring it up, but the Kawhi Leonard series, that was one of the best series ever. I mean, that was so fun to watch as a fan. Well, probably more fun for me because I'm a Raptors fan. Probably less fun for you because you're a Sixers fan. But that was an incredible series. And I will say this, maybe you consider this a hot take or not. And I am going back to the past here. That second round series, I really believe if that game goes to overtime, RB, the Sixers beat the Raptors. And I believe the Sixers replace the Raptors as being the champion of 2019 if Kawhi Leonard's shot does not go in. I really believe
first and foremost, thanks for bringing that up. It's scarred in my memories. It's like one of my worst memories ever.
What could have been, right?
Right. I still can't believe it. But no, you're absolutely right. I have a good feel. I don't know about overtime. I think we would have had as good a chance as anyone. But I thought we had the momentum, especially in Game 6 with the way we won that game. And I thought it was just one of those gritty games. Couple things could have gone the other way. We go to OT, maybe win. I do agree. I think we would have beat Milwaukee. And with the Warriors being banged up, who knows? I think we could have gone all the way. I think we had as good a shot as anybody. I love the guys on our team. I wish they were utilized a little bit better. But I agree with you. I think the Sixers or the Raptors stood the best chance. And you're right. Someone asked in here, I'm trying to find it, about are the Raptors going to make the playoffs? Any take? And guys, we got 275 up in here. We're about to be off here in about 5-10 minutes. If you haven't yet hit that like and sub, let us know any questions. This is your chance to ask one of the best Raptors creators right here questions about Toronto, questions about the East, whatever you need. So Big Pun says, do you see the Raptors making the playoffs?
They're in the middle right now because they're 2.5 back of a top 4 pick in the lottery and then 2.5 out of a playoff spot. Can the Raptors make the playoffs? Yes. Do I want to see them make the playoffs? Not really, because like I said before, it's like, why are you gonna, buy out of desperation or make a run, give fans false hope only to get ousted in the first round? It's almost like not feasible at that point. Or it doesn't make sense at that point. So yes, they of course can make the playoffs. There's still plenty of games left. But I think it's better for them to, like I said, just take a step back this season. So we'll see. Yeah,
I agree. I think there's there's an extra play-in spot, so I could definitely see the Raptors competing in that. I'll tell you what, I don't want to play the Raptors. They're the team I don't want to play. Never want to play them again. I hate how Nick Nurse plays Joel Embiid and builds the wall against Simmons. The Raptors are the team I do not want to see. So I hope we don't see you guys again. Philly fans and SD, shout out to a great channel member, says, when we be better off just getting supporting role players off the bench instead of Larry? We have our stars. I think that's a good option too. Fill out with some guys like George Hill, Wayne Ellington, guys like that. I don't mind it at all. I just think if the price is right and you can put that ball handler next to Simmons and not give up too much, I wouldn't mind that either. So I think either scenario is pretty good in my eyes. Let's see if we got any questions up in here. Let's see. How about this? What do you think the Raptors should do at the deadline?
Yeah, I think
we kind of answered it already.
Yes,
but
sell high. Try to see what you could get from Norman Powell. And then if a deal makes sense for Lowry, do that as well. But I'm not interested in buying. There was a report yesterday, Raptors interested maybe in a Spencer Dinwiddie or Holmes. I was not interested in that as well, at all.
No.
I mean, that's not going to add, any significance to this team. That's not going to make the Raptors any better. So yeah, definitely buy or sell, pardon me. And those would be the two guys.
There you go. And Tom says, what is the Raptors' problem right now?
We need a center. We need some more bench depth, and we need a shot creator / closer. It's been horrible to watch some of these games in the fourth quarter when the Raptors go on their droughts. Nobody can get a bucket. Nobody can create their own shot. The shot selection has been atrocious. We saw last night in that game against the Rockets. Center and shot creator, the two most important things.
Yep, I love it. And if the Raptors become buyers, are you going to be disappointed?
Yes, I would. Definitely.
I respect that. Just one more thing before we get out of here. I actually call Kyle Lowry Floppy McFlopperson, just my nickname I coined from. He flops every time. I hate him. I despise him. If he's on my team, he's gonna be great. He's gonna let the Wells Fargo go crazy. What do you think about that kind of nickname right there? And are you able to acknowledge as an objective fan that this man flops more than anybody?
I mean, but that's how he gets all those like epic, charge calls. You gotta put your body on the line to get some calls come your way. But that's actually really clever. You should definitely copyright that and put that on some t-shirts. But then the thing is, if he comes to Philly, you gotta just like get rid of that.
I'll get rid of that. But look, like you guys over there in Toronto, you acknowledge, right? Like this guy is a pest. Like he just flops. He gets his call. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for him, but I'm saying like you guys know he does that, right?
He's a guy that gets under your skin. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's a part of his mantra. That's who he is. And that's why, we love him here.
Yeah. And I respect him again. If he comes to Philly, I'm going to love the guy. Like it is what it is. So, but yeah, shout out to everybody out up here. Big Punches, #Floppy McFlop. There you go. And you got to love it. Here's a last question for you. Should we deal Pascal Ciacom and completely restart?
York Baller, what's going on, man? No, it's funny. A lot of Raptors fans are now saying this, RB, because of the recent news of the $50,000 fine.
Right.
If the Raptors didn't part ways with Siakam to try and get James Harden, I don't know what you can get for him now. You're locked into him, Raptors fans. Siakam, Van Vliet, OG is your core. Siakam, there's this misconception that he sucks. He doesn't suck. He's a good player, but he's not a main option. He's the Robin to a Batman. He was such a good pairing with Kawhi Leonard. And it's going to be hard to go out and get another Kawhi Leonard. But if the Raptors can somehow get a guy to alleviate that pressure off Siakam goes back to his, B role of a sidekick. I think Siakam's a really good player. He's shown a lot of promise. He had a really good month in February. He's an all-star, of course, but he just can't be the main guy. And we've seen it now. It's been not only this season, but going back to last season. I've gotten into a lot of arguments with Raptors fans about this, but we're seeing it with our very own eyes. He's not the main guy. He's the Robin. So the Raptors got to address that main guy somehow, whether it's in the draft, you get lucky, get a generational talent, or you trade for somebody that can at least create his own shot and come up clutch, in the fourth quarter. Because this guy has missed, what is it now? Like four shots in the clutch, but it stems just beyond that. Obviously, like you can get unlucky and miss shots in the clutch. Even LeBron James, I think, is like 1 of 6 in closeout opportunities, but it's just in the final couple of minutes. This team is hard to watch because they can't generate any offense, and they don't have that guy that can get a call when he needs to, like an Embiid can in the post or get a bucket in the paint. Yeah. So that's, Yeah, I think it's a good point. And look, I think the Raptors are going to be just fine. I think, like you said, they're going to retool. They have the coach in place. They have the system that works. Like, at least you have that going through. You have the foreground set. You just need to add a couple pieces there, and I think you guys will be all right. But again, everybody in the chat, guys, 250 in here. Hit that like and sub. Thank you guys for coming through today. Whether you catch it now or on the second time around, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Again, check out Luca Rosano, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I want to thank my guy for coming on here to talk with me. Great conversation, a lot of good details. We'll see what happens before Thursday. And look, if the deal's there, I hope it gets done. Anything else, Luca? Thank you so much, RB. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said to you off air, keep killing it, man. I found your channel like a couple months ago, and I've been hooked ever since, man. You do a great job with the streams, the Philly content, the collabs. You're very great on air. You got that presence. Guys, sub this man up. Like, this is awesome, bro. It's 3:00 during the day, and you got like almost 300 people in here. Like, dude.
I didn't expect it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. That's crazy. So definitely show him some love, guys. And I respect the hell out of what you're doing, man. Thanks again for having me. And I definitely got to get you on my channel down the line as well.
Oh, yeah. You as well, man. Big inspiration. I hope we can do this again soon. Maybe say a deal happens, or say, in a couple weeks we get kind of another point where we're like, all right, it's a good time to collab. Let us know in the comments, guys, if you're down for that. Great collab here, man. And appreciate you coming on. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Luca. You guys have a great rest of the day, and we'll catch you on the next one, man. Peace.
See you guys.